Hey, good morning, everyone. We have a great podcast for you today. Our guest will be Melony Bell. She's our current Supervisor of Elections for Polk County. We're going to talk to Melony about voter registration, some innovative things that she's doing, all things that you want to know about the voters' ID, how if you want to be a candidate, what you got to do. They'll hold your hand and teach you how to do it if you don't have professionals in your corner. So this will be a very interesting, a very informative episode today, and I hope you'll enjoy it with the Supervisor of Elections for Polk County, Melony Bell. Hey, welcome back to Todd's podcast, everyone. Today's guest is a very close friend of mine. She has been since I saw her working a street corner in 2010. You may be wondering why that was, is we actually campaigned together for the to the Polk County Board of County Commissioners, and she was on one corner with both of her daughters waving their signs, and I was on another corner, so that's the meaning behind that little joke. But I've known Melony for a long time. We've been very close friends. She's worn a lot of hats in her adult life, a highway safety monitor for the state,
Auditor,
Auditor,
yes.
Fort Meade City Commissioner and four-time mayor. I think you did 14 years there. Polk County Commissioner, 8 years of that, and 2 as the chairman of our commission. You were also a Florida State representative, and now you're the current Polk County Supervisor of Elections. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You've also served on a lot of community boards, the Baycare Bartow Hospital Board, Fort Meade Main Street, United Way of Central Florida Board, Fort Meade School Advisory, the Fort Meade Women's Club, Reading Pals program. So if you're wondering how to get involved in your community, Melony is a wonderful example of how to integrate yourself within your community and become a leader within the community. And she's been a close friend of mine, but she's been a very strong leader for her local community, for our county, both here on the local level and at the state level. And so welcome. We've had some giants as our guest. You came begging me just to get you on this podcast. Your husband, Robbie, has been on here, Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, which is out right now while recording, and many others. So let's see how this episode turns out. So you better bring your A game. Eli can only edit so much, although he did a very good job with the Mr. and Mrs. Claus. You know, just before we got started during the warm-up, when we were testing the mics, your voice sounded very familiar, like I've heard it recently, and I'm not sure. Have you been doing other podcasts or?
Just a couple. You know, it is Christmas time.
Yeah, it is. But your voice just sounded very familiar. It may have been that 8 years that it was just stuck in my head.
Could be.
But you do have that long history of public service. How and why did you get that bug? I mean, what prompted you, what motivated you to say, hey, I want to do something for my community?
Well, thank you, Todd, and what an honor it is to be on your podcast.
Huge honor.
And I appreciate you inviting me to come on today. Yes, I'm so excited. Right. I got into politics in this very strange way. I don't consider myself a politician. I consider being a public servant because I love helping people. But I was working for Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles as an auditor. My husband and I owned a family business, business together, raising 2 daughters. I was in the Junior Women's Club and teaching Sunday school. I was not Melony Bell, the spokesperson or anything. And my mother called me out of the blue one evening and said, have you been reading in the newspaper that there's a private prison company wanting to come to Fort Meade and they want to set up shop right next to the middle school? And I said, yeah, I've read, in the Fort Meade Leader, a couple of things about that, Mom. I said, but I don't think there's anything we can do. She's, well, you're raising 2 daughters here. You need to go to a city commission meeting and find out exactly what type of prison and what they're doing. And I went, yeah, Mom. Well, she called me again, and I ended up going. And it was before about internet was coming around a little bit. And
Had you ever been to prison before?
Never been to prison.
Okay.
Never been to prison. So I went to the library. Actually, I had a friend that helped me go to the library, and we tried to pull some information about this company where they were trading on the New York Stock Exchange to see about the company. And it was just a lot of negativity. So when I went to the meeting, I had some questions for the commissioners, and they couldn't answer my questions.
Were you nervous speaking in front of the group?
Oh, my goodness. I went up there. I was holding my paper, shaking like, hi, I'm Melony Bell, and I have some questions.
First time I did that at the county commission, I did it as a consumer, and I had a hard time getting the words out of my mouth.
I mean, I was not a public spokesperson, and I always say that God doesn't always call the qualifies. He qualifies the call, and that's been my calling. I went to the commission meeting. The commissioners couldn't answer the questions. So it put fuel in my belly, like, what is going on? Why do they want a prison so bad in this little town next to a middle school? And the prison company was going to...
The middle school's not very far out of town. I mean, it's on the edge of town.
It's on the south end of town. And it was going to be right there, right next to them. And this prison company was going to house habitual offenders, murders, rapists, and it was private. And so after they couldn't answer the questions, when I was leaving that night, I was going out to my car, and I had a lot of citizens come up to me and say, listen, you seem to know a little bit. You've done your homework. Says, will you help us fight the prison? I said, oh, absolutely. I said, things just don't seem right here, what all they're asking for and wanting to do. And come to find out, there were some commissioners that were flown along with the Planning and Zoning Board, flown to New York to show them how wonderful the prison was going to be. Never took them to the prison, never took them to that town, but took them to a country club and wine and dined them for the weekend. So that just put more fuel in my belly, and went out and we actually become a citizens prison group called CAP, Citizens Against Prisons. We had to go to the Supervisor of Elections office and register as a political group. We hired an attorney, Kelly Hardwick at the time, and we fought City Hall. And it rocked on for about 14 months that we were trying to get the city to vote it down, and they finally agreed to allow us to do a special referendum, because in our charter we don't have special referendums. You can imagine, you know, a size of Fort Meade, a little town, and you have the mobile home park that's for something that's more population than, you know, the citizens, and so they could change. So we finally, they allowed us to do a mock ballot, and it was so messed up when people went to vote. It was vote yes if you don't want a prison, vote no if you do. So we had to stand out and educate the voters that day.
Who comes up with language like that?
It was the city attorney that did it, yes. And he had been out there too. And so...
Do I know that city attorney?
Probably, I don't know. But anyways, it had rocked on, and finally took the vote, and the citizens voted it down. The prison company packed up their bags and went to Polk City, opened a prison there, and it turned out to be a train wreck there.
So the one that's in Polk City now was slated to go into Fort Meade?
Yes, it was. But they've already closed their doors.
I thought the one that was in Fort Meade ended up going to Frostproof.
No, that's a county prison.
Okay, yeah I knew that. But
this was going to be a private.
Totally private one.
Mm-hmm. And so they ended up opening in Polk City, and I heard a lot of horror stories after they opened. I mean, the police couldn't regulate it, and it was just a big mess in Polk City, and they finally closed their doors.
So after that, you decided, hey, I like
that. I like
being in public life, or I like the process.
Yep. We were winners. We won. And so about a year rocked on, and the people that were on my committee came to me and said, would you run for city commissioner? I said, no, I'm not a politician. I'm not running. And they kept coming back and said, you know, if you run, we'll help you run your campaign. And I said, well, I've never done this before. So we did it. And I took out an incumbent at that time and won, and served on the commission 14 years. And during that time, I had already had my AA degree from South State College.
South State.
And so during that time, I worked to go and obtain my bachelor's degree from
Southeastern. And that was in business and management?
Business and leadership.
Leadership,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think the leadership portion has served you well. You've been a very strong leader in our community. What part of, well, I'll do that in a minute. What part of public life do you like, and what part do you not like? Because you've been in public life for
yeah, as you said,
years
I've served at the local level. I've served in Tallahassee, and now I'm back at the local, and I love local politics. I mean, that is where the rubber meets the road. Right. It's where we're able to help more citizens. When you're in Tallahassee, you're so far from your constituents, and the minutia in Tallahassee was really tough. looking back on, I was honored to serve, and I miss my colleagues. But as far as the policy and all, I do not miss Tallahassee and being away from my family.
Yeah. Well, you're very good. You're very popular. I remember riding with you because we had to do the Fort Meade Parade for 8 straight years. And you were a rock star as we were going down, and people were throwing you beads rather than you throwing them beads. And, it was fun to watch. And what do you not like about elected life?
Privacy.
Privacy?
Yes. I mean, you work really, really hard to get your name out there. You want to be a household name, Melony Bell. You want everybody to know that, especially when they go to vote. But it's the privacy part of my life that has been exposed as far as, our financials, everything's out there. And my husband or my family didn't ask to be public servants, but their names also involved in my life. So, I would say trying to keep that separated. When I ran for city commission, I can remember telling the press, I said, you can write anything about me as long as it's the truth, but do not write about my family. This is not their choice. This is my choice to do this.
Yeah. Which, of all the positions that you've had, all your elected positions, what's been the most challenging?
Serving in the House of Representatives, I would say. Because you're up there 6 months out of the year, so you're leaving your family behind. It's almost like going to college, as a fraternity or sorority.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun, but I can remember driving up for my first session after getting elected and having to find an apartment. And thank goodness I had Sam Killebrew that helped me.
Has anyone ever said thank goodness for Sam Killebrew?
I'm saying thank goodness for him.
I think a lot of people have said thank goodness for Sam Killebrew.
He was really good to me and a mentor during that time. He helped me find places to live and restaurants and just dry cleaners, things that you don't think about before you get there.
Yeah, I remember the first few weekends you came home, you would call me. And it could be an hour-long conversation because you were so mad or upset or frustrated or whatever. And then as you got a little more comfortable with the situation, it's like, well, you didn't really call that much. I said, okay, she's kind of figuring it out, and you kind of found your groove up there. So
when you and I served on the commission, there was 5 of us.
Yes.
Going to Tallahassee, there's 120 representatives, so I had to deal with 119 people trying to get a bill passed. It was very difficult, but I did. I was succeeded at a lot, but going to commission meeting, going to Tallahassee is like night and day.
Yes. You put in 60, 70 hours a week as a supervisor of election. How do you keep your stamina up? Through all these years of public service.
Well, I love it. I love what I do, and what an honor it is to be able to serve in this capacity as supervisor of elections. I've always wanted to do it. As I was telling you earlier about the prison, that sparked my interest because we had to register with the Supervisor of Elections office. And so all this time, I've been very interested in elections. I'm very lucky to have a supportive husband that takes care of things on the home front where I can be gone and out and about, doing what I love.
Well, you're a great advocate for the people that you serve and you represent, and I noticed that firsthand for the 8 years that we served together. And you made the comment you'd always wanted to be the supervisor of elections, and you said that to me probably one of the first meetings that we had when we got together to say hello to each other and do it. Helen Gano was one of your successors from 1 or 2 supervisors ago, and I knew Helen a little, obviously not like you did, but great friends down there in the with her supervisor's office between Helen and Barbara and others, and Lori did it for 24 years, and now you. So. And
actually, I was going to run back in the day, but Barbara was running. Barbara Ostoff, which was a wonderful lady, and she was a mentor to me somewhat, and she decided to run, so I supported her.
Well, I would have voted for Barbara over you back then because, one, I didn't know you, and I did know Barbara, and she was absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely.
So paper ballots, are we ever going to go back to that, or what's the uproar about everything should be on paper ballots? Are there some people around the country that are voting electronically?
There are some states that still vote electronically. Here in the state of Florida, we do paper ballots.
Right.
I'm not sure whether, it's up to the legislator, how, whichever state, and that's the policy. You asked me what the difficulty of being in this office or the state. I no longer make policy. I listen to the policy. adhere to it. I adhere to it, yes. And so, if the
this policy is not made at the local level, it's made in Tallahassee.
State level, yes.
So do you go back to Tallahassee to lobby?
I do.
For training and that kind of stuff?
I do. I'm not sure if you've heard of the House Bill 1205 that's just come about on the petitions. And it's the petitions to get the marijuana on the ballot and the health care. There's probably 4 or 5 different.
I haven't heard that one.
There's 4 or 5 different initiatives to get the language on the ballot, and the languages were not correct. So we're having to. Those petitions were certified. Now we're having to uncertify, and it's a lot of minutia that we're having to do right now, and having to notify the citizens that sign these petitions. So there's been a lot of work there.
What do you think about moving? Election day has now become election month, early voting and all these things. Sometimes people vote a month early because they don't want to go through the crowd, go through the day of. They may cast a vote, and then within that last month, something devastating may come out about a candidate and say, I don't want to vote for that guy or that gal. And you're kind of tied into it. What do you think about pinching the time down to just the weekend before, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday? Do you think that is a viable? And again, everything happens in Tallahassee. We don't make policy down here.
Yeah, they dictate to us, but they do give us days of how many. I mean, you could be open for 2 weeks, do early voting sites, and I thought I would probably narrow that down, those days, because it does cost efficiently that we don't need to open that many days. However, on those early days, people are coming in that need maybe a name change or address change, or they're voting in their wrong precinct. So we're able to correct a lot of those issues, while they're doing the early voting. But once you cast your vote, you've casted your vote. You can only vote one time.
Todd's podcast is sponsored in part by Saunders Real Estate, your trusted partner in land and commercial real estate since 1996. With over 125 expert advisors located throughout the Southeast United States, the full-service brokerage specializes in a wide range of property types from farms and ranches to commercial buildings and development land. If you're looking to build your legacy with a confident investment, please visit SaundersRealEstate.com or call 877-518-5263 to connect with an advisor today. Have you ever done anything other than being a poll worker? Have you ever been a poll worker?
I have. Actually, it was in 1980. I worked the polls with my...
1980?
Yes. I worked the polls with my grandmother.
You would have been 18 or 19 by then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember going and voting with my mom and dad when you click the things down and they pulled one lever and that tallied everything.
And the curtain goes behind you.
Yeah, and my dad would hold us, pick us up, and that was a big deal to go vote with them. Do you put on classes for first-time candidates? Say Eli wants to run. Eli's the most eligible bachelor in all of Polk County. He's probably the most electable person you're ever going to meet. What if he decided he wanted to run, but he wasn't sure how to do it? Do you put on classes to kind of educate Eli on just the office or just politics in general?
We do one-on-one. Okay. With Eli, if he was interested in running, he would come in, pick up his package. We would go through.
He's running for coroner. If you listened to our last episode,
we would go through the package of what you need to do: opening and checking account, your contributions. We would go through all of the policies, the rules, regulations, and all. But we do one-on-one. There are other counties that teach a class, but we would rather do one-on-one.
So a candidate doesn't have to have a long political background. They don't have to know political people. They could just say, hey, I want to serve. I want to try and run. And you would kind of hold their hand, teach them Election 101. This is the dates that you need to file. This is how much your filing fee is, or how to get signatures and stuff.
If you're a US,
what to do and what not to do.
Absolutely. If you're a U.S. citizen and you are registered to vote, you can run in any office in the state of Florida or our nation.
What if someone wants to change their signature? I know mine has changed from Todd Dantzler to R. Todd to Raymond Todd.
There's 3 ways. You can go on our website and you could upload your new signature. You can come into our office or call our office and we'll send you a form.
Okay. How about signatures of people who may have had a health event? I know that y'all try and match signatures. I know that I did 2 terms on the canvassing board, and wonderful experience. and you would look at signatures and you'd say, I think this is the same person, but this does not look like it. They could have had a stroke. They could have just aged. They could have had an accident where maybe they broke their hand. How do y'all look at signatures and say, yeah, I believe this one, or no, this looks fraudulent to me?
We all have to take a class to be certified in reading signatures.
When did that start? Because I never took a class.
As a elections worker, you have to, yeah. And so we train our employees on the signatures. So if there is some, discretion on, was it that person or not, if it gets thrown out, then we give them the opportunity, if they voted early, to come back in, send another ballot, would send to them so they could vote. We don't want to suppress anyone from voting.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing, is to try and make sure every vote counts. Obviously, there are some mistakes that are made. Maybe a husband signs the wife's and the wife signs the husband. They put them in the wrong envelope. You kind of match them up. You had mentioned the canvassing board, and we had mentioned it. What is the canvassing board, and what's their responsibility?
Well, the canvassing board's made up of elected officials and a judge. For local elections, I just went through 5 municipal elections since I've been elected to this position, and so we've held city elections. So if you're not on the ballot, you would serve on the canvassing board. And we start canvassing about a week out once the mail-in ballots start coming in, and we actually were comparing signatures. That's when we bring the canvassing board in to look at those signatures. And then once election night, that we're able to open up the envelopes and start counting running them through the machines. If they're kicked out of the machine, say for instance, if there's 4 people to vote for and they X'd everybody and maybe drew a circle around one person, that canvassing board, your peers will decide whether that's a good vote or not, and how they want. And one thing that's really surprised me is the people that will go vote and leave the whole ballot blank. And I said, why would somebody want to do that? And the answer I got was they want to be super voters. They want their name on that list that they showed up to vote.
That doesn't make a bit of sense.
It doesn't. Not at all.
What does the canvassing board mean? I mean, what is the definition of the canvassing board? I mean, I guess they canvass the elections to kind of not necessarily certify it, but they kind of certify it.
Well, they do certify. Yeah, they do certify. Yeah.
So that's just the terminology.
Yes, but they would, after the election, 48 hours or 72 hours is when it gets certified. When you start getting those results at night, election night, those are not the actual numbers until everything is certified. They're unofficial.
Okay. There was some stink going around a few years ago about votes that are being transmitted over a modem on election day. Like, hey, up in Poinciana, they got to send their votes in, and they do it over a modem because it would take an hour and a half for them to get down to Bartow to turn their votes in and then count them. Is that still going on? Is it more secure now, or what have y'all done? Well,
what we've done, it is still transmitted, but it's an unofficial vote.
Okay.
Our count. So whenever they come in, election night,
they still turn paper ballots in.
Paper ballots still come back. And what we've done this year is we put in air tags on every
What a great
bag.
Idea.
And so whenever the poll workers are closing up and they're driving back from Poinciana or wherever, we're watching them come in on a big TV screen. Like, okay, we still have 5 precincts out. We're waiting for them to bring in their paper ballots. So then they will also bring in.
You can see if they stop off at Cooter's Bar and decide to have a few drinks.
I wasn't going to say that, but yes, yeah.
Well, there was some that we waited till like 10 o'clock. We were finished with all, except for like 4 or 5 precincts. It's like, where in the heck are you? I think they stopped home to get dinner.
And they're told, come straight there. Yeah. So we're able to watch them and they have to have 2 people with them at all times in the car, in the vehicle. From where they're coming. And they're assigned, we would use a Republican and a Democrat to bring the ballots back. Nobody's ever in the room, one person by themselves with ballots. There's always at least 2 people. But we started the air tags to put more layers in place of.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So it's been great.
And you wouldn't think about that unless you served on the canvassing board or you served at the supervisor's office to know, hey, we are waiting a long time for some of these precincts to get in, and they're all closing at 7 o'clock. And is there any way that our elections could be hacked?
I'm sure they could be. I mean, we every day we have so many layers of firewalls on our computer system, because I never realized this until I took office here, that, other countries are so jealous of us and envious of us and want to change our election. So we're constantly being hacked, and our employees are always told, do not click on anything, because we have protections put in place. But what we do after the unofficial votes come in that night, the next day we do a hand-counted audit. We will pull batches with the canvassing board to make sure those numbers match what numbers were sent in to us. And then we also have another set of number, the count on a zip drive.
And when you say a hand count, does that mean you hand feed them into the machines, or you actually say
we hand
one
count.
For Melony, one for Todd, one
Yes.
for Eli, or whatever it is?
Yeah, we will pull certain batches and hand count them,
Samples.
and samples, to make sure that they match the machine count and the zip drive. So there's 3 layers there.
What keeps you up at night during election season? You haven't been through a general election, but you've been, through some local municipals.
Yeah, and people don't understand is we do not run city elections. The clerk does this. City clerk will run her own. However, we assist in every way we can. We help them get their ballots printed. They use our machines. We train their poll workers. We hold their hand all the way to election day. Help them hire their poll workers. So we do it all. But what keeps me up, I haven't gone through a general, but, I think that just the excitement of, I was finally here. I remember my first election back in April last year, and it was, I was so nervous. But I have great staff, and they've got it to a T of what happens during the day.
Should we eliminate spring voting?
I'm trying to.
Can you do that, or does that have to be, or is that dictated out of Tallahassee, or?
It's up to the city charter.
Okay.
And we have 13 out of 17 municipalities that vote in April, in the spring. And so back when I was a city commissioner, my predecessor came to us and said, we'd like to change your elections from November to April. She just said it was too much. So we did it. And we had such a low voter turnout. So we went back to the November elections. While I was out campaigning, that was one of my promises, campaign promises, that we would talk to the cities to get them to change back to November. I have been on the circuit of meeting with all the city commissioners at their meetings. I think I've done 11 out of the 13 so far.
How's the reception been?
It's been very good. Yes, they'd love to change it. They'd have to do a resolution, an ordinance, and then they would have to put it to their citizens for a vote.
And why did they take it away from November? Was it to try and spread it out, or so there wasn't such a long ballot? Or
I'm not sure why my predecessor did that.
Okay.
But everybody knows in November that's when you go vote.
Yeah.
And we want better voter turnout.
How and what do you do to increase voter turnout? I know everyone thinks we should. Do we really want an increase in voter turnout?
Absolutely. We've had, think about our veterans, forefathers, mothers gave the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to vote. And so...
Are you finding many people that say, I never thought about voting? I mean...
yeah. Or I didn't know it was voting day. Like, how did you not know? There's 200 signs around here, but that's...
And they'll have Melony Bell's name on them.
Yes, I can't believe that. But no, we have beefed up marketing this year. We've helped the cities as far as we've done radio, TV, oh my goodness, social media. If you go on our new website, which I was going to mention, it's been great. I mean, you can get any type of information you want on there, but we have been out in the high schools, registering voters. We're starting a new program, I Voted sticker. We're going to start the program in elementary, middle, and high schools where we're going to let the students design it, and then it'll be a contest of who has the best sticker, and then we're going to use that for voting day. But something really cool coming up, as you know, our nation's going to be 250 years old, so we're going to kind of cone into that.
Just under the age of Santa and Mrs. Claus.
I know, yes.
They're really old.
They're really old.
They're starting to show their age too. They're drooping, sagging, wrinkling up. But
really?
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Wow. I think they're still hanging in there.
Okay, but yeah, I'm excited about getting the students involved, and I think once the students go home and show mom and dad their sticker, that they designed. Hopefully the parents will get interested in wanting to go vote.
What are some of the other accomplishments that have happened while you've been there? Are you doing something about mobile polling?
I've got a mobile polling unit. I don't know if you've seen it. We've used it in parades, but if a polling place goes down, say it's at a church and they had a flood the night before, the air condition broke. This, and I'm the first one to have it in the state, we're able to pull it up. It's got Wi-Fi, everything hooked to it. We will not skip a beat. And if you're at that polling place, you'll be able to go in and vote. And so we're excited for our mobile polling.
How about some of the technology and security upgrades that you've done? Have you been working on that?
Well, we did not have fiber optics to the office. So first 2 weeks that I was there, we got fiber optics run to the office. We've upgraded our Wi-Fi, the security, like I said, the air tags. We've have left VR systems as far as web page, and we're using Civics Plus. Go to polkelections.gov. It's a really neat web page.
Your web page and your website is very user friendly on election day to find out. I think it's updated just about in real time. So if you're trying to, if you're one of those political junkies who can't wait for another 5 minutes, you can go to your website and see how your friend is doing or your foe is doing. And I've always found that easy and good. Election workers, how many regular employees do you have throughout the year, and then what do you do to gear up for, say, a general election?
We have around 35 staff. Full-time. And then we're starting to gear up for the gubernatorial race that's coming up, so we'll go to 1,700 election workers, poll workers.
Do you pay them all?
We do. Every one of them gets paid, and actually we've upped their salary because we've had an issue of trying to find election workers that want to go out and work. And so
so what's a poll worker earn for a day? Just not a manager, but just someone who's working the books and making sure that
around $200 for the day. But before
Eli, come back. You can't go there yet.
They have to. Oh no, and
I'm sure we'll lose the Gen Zers that we interviewed.
You might.
And one thing, just leaving the conference, had a lot of input from other Supervisor of Elections that they went and talked to businesses like yours and said, would you mind giving an employee for the day, because we're looking for the younger generation to be our poll workers. There's a lot of people out there that don't know they get paid, and so
I didn't know it was so much money.
Yeah, so you remember Kay? She worked the polls from our office, and so the county government and some cities will allow their employees to go work for us. So we're trying to get a younger group, and you get paid for training. There's a 4-hour training.
Sounds like a pretty good gig to me.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. We'd love to have you.
So Eli got paid in Brute cologne today. It was mentioned in our podcast last week with the Gen Zers. I put a little bit of it on because that's what I wore in 7th grade. It is about to drive me crazy over here. I don't know if it's on my hand, on my neck. My eyes are watering. I
smelled it when I came through, and it smelled good.
Yes, that's Eli. He's out trolling again. I figured some English leather for next year and maybe some must the following year. So we'll see what we're going to do.
Hey, Dancer fans, this is Anthony Pedicini from SimWins, and I just wrapped up an amazing episode with Todd on his podcast. We were able to talk about all things politics and political consulting. It was a great time. To stay up to date with every new episode, please subscribe to Todd's podcast whenever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
What about a voter tax? I've heard about a voter tax. Is that something like you have to pay to vote? Is that
well,
something?
It used to be back in the day. I'm not even sure what year that was.
But I hear people trying to accuse either one side or the other, say, hey, they want a voter tax, and I guess it's to scare people to thinking they don't want to.
Well, I would hope not. That's one thing I never want to do is suppress any voter. We want anybody that's registered a U.S. citizen to go vote.
How do you balance being impartial now that the Florida legislature has made it a partisan office, because it used to be a nonpartisan office, and now they made it a partisan office, and so you're now the first supervisor that's had a D or an R in front or behind their name. And I know you're impartial, but how do you keep the appearance of nonpartisanship? And how do you decide where to hold voter registration drives? That could be something that you're accused of doing.
Absolutely. We do non-political voter registration drives. As long as there's not a political thing going on, then we will be there. If you have anything going on in your community, please let us know. We would love to be there to register voters, but we just try to stay nonpartisan.
So almost like a blood drive, but a voter registration drive. So if someone wants to take a pint of blood or a quart, depending on how full you are for the day, if they want to have the voter ID, voter registration, you could also send do you have a mobile registration, or is that what your mobile unit is that you use? Or do you just send a van out with
we send
Eli
a van
and a couple
out,
of
and we do a lot of nursing homes, and because you were talking about signatures earlier, change of addresses, we go and help the citizens out there. But being partisan, I being the party that I am, I was very involved in the political party, but I cannot be now. I can go speak to a political party if I'm invited, but say, for instance, if they were having a Christmas party and there was going to be a statewide candidate there, I would not show up because I cannot show any partiality whatsoever.
But you could be the guest speaker for a Republican club or a Democrat club or independent club or whatever club.
And I've done that. I've already went and spoke to the Democratic Party, and I've spoken to the Republican Party clubs here. I want to talk to you about junior achievement.
Yeah, let's hear about junior achievement.
Something I'm very excited about is Biztown Finance Park. Back when my oldest daughter was at Union Academy in the 90s, late 90s, been 27 years ago, she was had the opportunity to go over to Pinellas County to their Biztown. They called it what was it called? Enterprise Village. And my youngest daughter was able to do that too. And there was only like 3 schools at that time that could go to Pinellas County. Then it came to Hillsborough County, and then they allowed maybe 10 Polk County schools. I had been advocating, like I said, for 27 years to bring Biztown Finance Park to Polk County. Finally landed it. I was able to do that when I was in the legislature to bring appropriations monies back. Then we had a private donor, and we are going to put this at Tenor Rock High School because it's an underperforming school, and felt like that would be a great landing place for it. Connect Ed has been involved in this too. But
what is Connect Ed?
Connect Ed is education for Polk County.
Is it run through the school board?
No, it's their own independent education.
Like a foundation?
Foundation.
Okay.
But I'll talk about my oldest daughter. She signed up to be a furniture store manager for Kane's Furniture. If you go into this Biztown, it's you walk in and there's business offices or storefronts, and like Publix, the Publix Credit Union, Citizens Bank, engineering firms, insurance companies. We've already sold out of all of the storefronts. So when Ashley started school, the very first day, she got to choose what type of career that she wanted. So she chose to be a furniture store manager. My youngest daughter, Whitney, was a DJ at the radio station.
Perfect.
That just kind of tells you where they're at. But on different ends of the spectrum. So Ashley learned day one how to balance a checkbook, that she needed to write checks to pay her mortgage, her rent, her insurance. She was given real life scenarios. So she learned that from day one, and then February she went to Pinellas County to Biztown, which we're going to have in Polk County. So when you start school, or you start work that day, start at 8 o'clock, you work for 1 hour. And you're paid.
I know people around here that work for an hour.
Okay. And you get
Not Eli.
But
Thank you.
Let's make that perfectly clear.
Thank you.
But you get a week.
2/3 of the devil's triangle, though, we could ask.
But after that week, or after that hour, you get a week's salary. And
For working 1 hour?
For 1 hour.
What kind of funny baloney job is that?
So then you take that, you have your salary, you've given a scenario in life that you have to go make your mortgage payment, or you have to make your insurance payment. You're learning budgeting. So then after you do all of that, you go back to work for another hour. You're given another scenario. Maybe you're married, you're working a full-time job, you have 2 sick kids, you've missed 2 days of work. How do you make ends meet? And then all the way up to lunchtime, you better have budgeted enough to eat lunch, because we're going to have Chick-fil-A there serving lunch. And actually, the students will work in Chick-fil-A.
Well, how does that relate to the Supervisor of Elections office?
This is what I'm so excited about.
We are going
to have a government center there. So before they start work, they will all say the Pledge of Allegiance, find out. We'll have the constitutional office there.
Okay.
They'll sign up to vote. They elect their mayor.
Sounds like Boy State and Girl State almost on a very condensed version.
It is. And every student in Polk County will have that opportunity.
Do they have to make a contribution to the current Supervisor of Elections, or is this something?
It's all going to be free.
All right.
Eli,
you got a chance over there.
Actually, my brother did do it back when he was, I don't remember where it was at, but he did the BizTown.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what he did? What job?
I remember something vaguely about churning butter, but
Oh.
I don't know if that was it or not.
Too bad he's not a jelly maker. He could take me out of the equation then.
Well, over in Tampa, like they have the Tampa Bay Bucks, they have the Rays. I mean, these people are running businesses. But the state of Florida passed a law 4 years ago that every student must have financial classes. And so this ties into this BizTown finance part.
That's pretty neat and exciting for you to be bringing that. Are you going to hold it around the county or just one day at one place? So
it will all
Fort Meade will send kids, and Frostproof will send kids, and Lakeland will send kids. And
correct. And
do you get nominated by a teacher, or is it based on need, or have you gotten that far into the selection process?
Every student will have the opportunity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Every student. And say, for instance, we'll have the clerk of the court's office there. Maybe their scenario was they got a speeding ticket that week. They've got to go pay their speeding ticket, or they have to show up for court for something.
How many speeding tickets have you gotten in your life?
0.
Really?
Really.
I've driven all over the state with you. I cannot believe you've never been ticketed.
To Georgia, but no.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I have
that's
never.
another story.
I'm a knock on wood. I'm sorry.
You've never gotten a speeding ticket? You've almost killed me 3 times in your car.
One time.
All 3 of my lives.
One time.
So how do our turnout rates compare to other counties around the state? You know, are we in the middle? Are we kind of low that we need to bump it up? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot to try and increase voter turnout. I guess most supervisors are. How do we compare in Polk County versus some of the others?
We're about average over the whole state. It's so sad that this last municipal election, we'll talk about the city of Winter Haven, only 12% of the voters turned out.
Right.
So sad. So, yeah, but we're average, 10 to 15% here in Polk County. But hopefully next year for the governor's race and others that's going to be on there, we have a lot of statewide races going on that's going to be on the ballot, then hopefully we'll be able to market and get people out to vote.
Do smaller counties have a greater turnout rate than larger counties? Is it based on the level of sophistication and the money they have to help promote this election day? Has there been any correlation or study as how do the small counties do better?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm just lucky to be in a large county. I have a good friend that's the supervisor of elections in DeSoto County, and she has 3 people that work in her office.
3 people in the whole office?
3 people in the whole office, yes. And so if her and her chief of staff has to go somewhere, that leaves one person, and then they have to hire a temp agent to come in to.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate to be here in Polk County.
I've always felt blessed, especially while we were county commissioners, that we had the resources that we did, that we had professional staff that could do and implement the policies and the direction that we sent the county manager in. I felt very lucky and blessed that we're right in a good sweet spot there. What are some other questions that I haven't thought about or I haven't asked you about your office? I'll ask you some semi-personal questions next about
I had mentioned veterans. None of us would be able to vote unless we had veterans that serve before us. So we're doing on our website, we're starting a veterans Hall of Fame. So if you have a veteran you'd like for us to spotlight, please send their name and a bio of them so we can put it up on the website. And hopefully we're going to put it on the Wall of Fame. We're working on that in our office.
Do you ever track the turnout rate or the voter rate of veterans versus non-veterans? I mean, they fought for this for us. I would think it would be considerably higher than everyone else if they have the ability. I didn't know if that's something that
probably
you or the state had ever
very
tried.
alarming that a lot of veterans don't vote because, number one, they don't have transportation. Number two, they don't realize, it's the day, or they just don't feel like their vote counts.
How many voting precincts do you have around the county? And again, we're talking Polk County, different counties.
Polling places, we have over 200. We have 500 and something precincts, like you have a precinct, but we may have 5 precincts go to one polling place.
But you've got 200 locations where people could try
and this county,
you spread them all over.
Spread them all over, and this county is huge, as you know, bigger than Rhode Island. And so you can imagine, we use like moving trucks to move our machines to the polling places and all. No, they're not laptops. They're huge machines, even machines.
From the time I've spent on the canvassing board and around you and around previous supervisors, the process is amazing. It is professional. There's no loose ends. And I think our voters should be very happy and proud of, Helen Gano's the first one I knew of, and then Lori, and now you. I think the elections that y'all run are above reproach, and I think it's been fantastic, and people need to have high levels of confidence that, they vote and it's going to get counted. And that's what your goal has been, and his.
Absolutely.
And Lori's and Helen's and whoever was supervisor before Helen's.
Voter integrity is a big thing that you're hearing about throughout the nation. And I certainly don't want to ever be accused of somebody's ballot not counting or somebody not being able to vote. We have so many levels, layer after layer of security put in place for voter integrity. And if you vote by mail, you're able to make sure you can follow that number to make sure that your ballot was counted. And you can follow it online.
So Eli's bragging that he voted for you 5 times. How do we keep someone from Eli from voting more than once?
Well, I don't
He's
know.
a crafty little devil over there.
I don't know how he did that, but thank you. Appreciate it.
You won by 4, right?
yeah, I did. No, but thank you.
But I'm joking about voter integrity, but it is very important. And every supervisor takes it serious, and every one of your employees takes it serious, and the volunteers.
Yeah, one thing that surprised me too is I have to hold hearings for somebody that wants to get their voting rights back. Maybe they're a felon and they've done everything they need to do. Now they've come in front of me and I have to hold a hearing, and had an unusual case about 2 months ago with all the hoopla throughout the nation of voter integrity and are we allowing illegals to vote, and had a gentleman that's lived here 20 years and he's from Germany, never become naturalized citizen, and he's been voting all this time. And so he came to me.
How did that happen?
20 years ago. I'm not sure. And so, no, he cannot vote. He's not a citizen. So by law, I have to turn everything over to the state attorney's office and they investigate it.
So if you're 18 and you're a United States citizen and you register legally to vote, you can vote. That's the only criteria.
And you mark that box. When
is it a felony if you lie on that box?
Absolutely. It's a felony. But
Eli?
I never got caught.
It's like voting 5 times. It's a felony. They don't want another producer. You're the man.
What will surprise you probably more than anything is the majority of our registered voters, if we're registering them or they've been registered this year, they've usually done it through the driver license office, through Joe Tedder's office, because once they're getting their driver license, they've moved in from out of state. There's a questionnaire, do you want to sign up, register to vote? And you do it, and you have to check on there that you're a U.S. citizen.
Do you think that's a good thing to be able to register? Do you think registering should be that easy?
Oh, yes, I do. I absolutely do.
But what does Joe's office do to check that person?
Well, they have all the documentation in front of them.
So it does make sense to run it.
It does, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so, and he has, I've visited his office.
And Joe Tedder's our tax collector.
I'm sorry
about it.
And actually, I've done a site tour and have seen the process of how they register to vote, because there's been some questions like, well, they were not a citizen. Well, they checked it and they had, their birth certificate with them. So we have to decide on that. But while I was in the legislature, I pushed for voter integrity as far as like Ohio has on the driver license, U.S. citizen, that you have proof that you're a citizen. We have not it was in a bill, but it didn't get passed. So hopefully
we have a star on ours.
We have a star.
I mean, Grady mentioned that a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about immigration, and if you get pulled and you don't have a star, they check you a little harder. And I was in buying some margarita mix this morning for a friend,
Really?
and they asked me for my license, so I checked. I said, "Well, I've got a star, so must be."
Because probably, when all that switched over, you probably went and showed your birth certificate. You had to show documentation. I did, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. When I renewed
your birth certificate on papyrus, is that how old it was?
When I renewed my driver license, I had to show everything.
You had to bring your birth certificate in?
Yes, yeah. Whenever I renewed 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not sure when it was. Yeah, but I have the star too. But I feel like it needs to say U.S. citizen on it.
Hey everybody, this is your host Todd Dantzler. As most of you know, I'm a partner with Saunders Real Estate and have been a very active and working broker for over 42 years. I have fostered strong relationships throughout the state of Florida, working on properties ranging from agriculture and development land to multifamily, commercial, and industrial projects. If you have any real estate needs at all, please give me a call. I'd love to help. My direct line is 863-877-2846. Thank you. Is there anything else that we've left out? You've been here for about 50 minutes. I got some other questions that are nonsense and
I think I've covered everything on here.
Is there anything you want to say about where you're going to be with your mobile voter registration or any of that stuff? Y'all have anything coming up? If someone wants to get more information, go to your website. What's the website called? Yeah,
it's polkelections.gov. But no, one thing we have done too is put QR codes on everything. So if you're walking by a mobile unit or you get something in the mail, you can take a picture of that QR code and go straight to our website. So that is a new thing that we started.
So at the last city election, I live in the city of Winter Haven. I was getting 3 or 4 postcards a week. Do you have anything to do with the regulation of that? It's just if someone can raise enough money and pay for postcards, they send them. We received
a lot of calls during that election. I guess it was a very contentious election. I'm not sure because I try not to stay out of that side of it. But we were getting calls that, my picture's on this card, saying that I endorsed him. I didn't.
Right.
That would be for them to file a complaint with the Division of Elections, and they have a team, an investigation team that would look into that.
So you're not on the regulatory side. You're just on if there's a complaint about election fraud or whatever, you refer them to
Correct.
The appropriate group. Do you miss Tallahassee and that part of? I know there was a lot of action going on and there's a lot of activity and a lot of excitement, but I knew it was a grind on you and the friends that we have that go up there. It's a grind on them. People think, well, you just go up for 60 days and you come back. I don't think that's anywhere near the truth. I think you're up there closer to 5, 6, 7 months, depending on the year and the governor.
The year of the governor. We do 6 weeks of committee weeks before we even get started to file our bills. We're there, education-wise, which they're warm bodies for those 6 committee weeks. Right. And then session this year will be early because the legislators have to go out and campaign. So it's every other year they do early voting early session and then late session. So this year's session begins in January. It's usually March, the opposite years, so that they can get out and start campaigning. Now, last year, the legislature stayed in session 105 days, I believe. I think that's a long time for them to stay away from their families and all. But yeah, that was...
Some like to stay away from their families for that long.
Some do, but yeah, that was long days for me and long weeks.
So you've been in Canada a lot more times than I have. We've all had signs that have been stolen, vandalized, ripped down, had nasty stuff written on them. What redress does a candidate have for any of that? Is that something that you have any power over? Does a candidate complain or just say, well, just put up another sign?
We get complaints if somebody stole our signs and all. There's nothing we can do. And it's unfortunate that everything's investigated after the election. Right. It's like somebody didn't put the the proper disclosure or disclaimer on their sign.
So you don't
or
check the
paper.
signs once they go
No.
out?
If somebody comes to us and says, they didn't put their disclaimer on there, then we would
They
send
didn't
everything.
put what office they were
Yes.
seeking. They just said
Are
elect Todd
approved
Dancer or
by,
whatever.
paid
Okay.
and approved by.
So there is official language that they have to have on
Yes.
signs to make them legitimate. I guess the only way is if you just start taking the office away from them if they win.
Well,
And
it
then
would
that's
be it
taken
would be
away
up
from the
to-
will of the people.
Yeah.
But that's not a local supervisor of election
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
What do you do? Do you like to travel? You like music? Where do you like to travel? We're going to kind of get away from the supervisor's office for a minute, let people find out a little bit about Melony. You like to travel. Where's your favorite place that you've ever been to travel?
My favorite place is Italy. I just love Italy. I've been there 4 times now, and it's just a great country. And I love
You liked
the
Amsterdam, didn't you?
I liked Amsterdam,
Yeah.
but Italy is my
Italy,
favorite.
yeah.
We just got back off a cruise. We went to Barcelona, Spain. We did all the way to Morocco and back, and that was a neat trip. But I don't care about going back there again.
Do you like cruising?
Love cruising. Disney cruises are my favorite.
Yeah, we had a guy on, Christian, a few weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, who's a cruise director, a Disney cruise. Sarah had set us up with him, and great episode. And
Actually, he was our cruise director.
He was your cruise director?
Yeah, so I would love to meet him.
All right, well, we'll have
It was
to
fun.
facilitate
And the
that.
entertainment on that ship was unbelievable. But you think, well, Disney cruises, but they're the best.
Yeah.
I mean, the cleanest, the best food,
Yeah,
all
my
around.
daughter did one. It was great. What's the most exotic place you've ever been? I know you went to Vietnam.
I was gonna
'cause you
say
brought
Camp-
me some
I
illegal-looking liquor
did.
with a cobra in it or
I
something.
did, yeah. I forgot about Cambodia.
Cambodia.
It's my favorite. Probably most exotic.
Really?
Being in Cambodia.
Were you scared about eating the food, or were you say, it's probably all right?
We didn't realize what we were eating. Probably in China. We
2
had
days later,
had
it
a
came back to
layover in
haunt you.
China, yeah. But Cambodia, I fell in love with that country. We did some Christian outreach there at an orphanage, and loved seeing the children. Some of them had never seen their cell before. They had never seen a cell phone, so we were
Really?
able to give them a cell phone and look at themselves, and it was just unbelievable. And we cooked for them, and they ate, and it was just they lived in huts
Right.
with just dirt floors, but they were so appreciative of
Have you ever been
us being there.
scared anywhere you've ever gone?
I would say in Morocco.
Really?
Yeah, the country has become overtaken by bad people there. The smell of the open markets, they had like goat heads cut off.
Didn't
with
smell like
blood.
brood or English leather.
No. It was blood running down the street, and it was like, we need to get out of this country. I had to cover my arms and every bit of body piece on me. I couldn't show anything, but I felt very uncomfortable being in Morocco.
I think you brought some of that odor home with you. I'm
think
not.
so?
Yeah,
It was stinky.
we got some brood at
Brood.
Eli's desk. You can brood up before you go home.
But I enjoy traveling with my family. We've been able to, very blessed to be able to travel, and we've gone to, like I said, Amsterdam. We went to see the tulips a couple of years ago in bloom, and it was absolutely beautiful. But if we go somewhere, we're usually going to a beach.
Right.
We love the ocean.
So music, you like music? You like going
Love
to
music.
concerts? What's been your favorite concert?
Well, my husband actually is a concert goer,
Yes.
but I go along with him, and
Did he send me some from the AC/DC concert in Tampa? Did I get something from him from an AC/DC
you might
concert
have. He
recently?
was there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there.
He was on stage, I think, with he was duck walking with Angus across the hall with his ukulele.
Yes, rock and roll sticks. I love that era. That was my first concert. Ever going to a first concert at the Lakeland Civic Center. I think our ticket was $15, which was a lot of money back then. We love rock and roll, but we love country music. George Strait is my favorite. I got to meet him last year, won the shirt off his back for the
Still
night.
have that shirt?
Still have the shirt. My husband had it framed for me. And just it was
sleep in
it
it,
was
or-
really cool getting to meet him. He was very humble, and just he was George.
Good. How about Jelly Roll? Have you ever gone to one of his concerts?
I've never been to
He
one of
could
his
probably get in
concerts.
his sweatsuit. that he can't
I'm
wear
good. I'm
anymore.
good. Never been to his concert.
Taylor Swift. Have you ever seen
I
Taylor?
have. I saw Taylor probably 10 years ago before she was popular. I saw
Before
her
she was Taylor Swift.
before. I saw her at the Buck Stadium, and she had taken the whole 100 yards and made the whole thing a stage, and it was really cool seeing her there. But she's changed over the years.
They had an Eras Tour special on TV over the weekend, I think. I said, I'm going to watch a few songs just so I can tell Sarah and Aubrey, who are Gen Zers, and Eli, that I've seen it. Couldn't understand a word she was saying. It all sounded the same. She wasn't a great dancer, but it was an incredible performance. I understand why people fall in love with this young lady, and the talent and just the stage presence that she had was phenomenal. I mean, 5 songs was more than enough for me, but I can see why people just kind of lose their stuff over her.
And she's so brilliant in her marketing and all, and my granddaughters love her. They are Swifties.
Yeah. So bringing it back home, what was your favorite moment for the 8 years that we served together as county commissioners?
Oh, gosh, that's a softball quiz. I would say our friendship, our bond that we, you and I didn't know each other. You said we met on the street corner. We didn't. We actually met at a breakfast. You called me out of the blue and you said, I'm Todd Dantzler. I said, who's Todd Dantzler? And you said, you're going to run for county commission. I said, well, let's meet and talk. And from that moment on, we ran together. And when you're in the same arena running together,
you spend
a lot of time together. And it's not easy campaigning. You're out, 7 days a week, 7 nights a week. You're at every activity. We have each other's back. And so the friendship that we built throughout, the 8 years, just you and I, is very special to me, but also, the staff that we have relationships with, and it's great to have those contacts.
I enjoyed traveling with you because it was always something different. And you made a reference earlier about Georgia. We were going to Tallahassee to do the people's work, and I started driving. We were up 75, and we got off Lake City or something to take a break, and you said you would drive for a while.
Because you wanted to look at your computer.
Yeah, I was on my computer, and you got on your phone, and I'm not paying attention. I look up, and I see
Bluetooth on my phone.
Whatever it is. And I see exit 3, and I said, exit 3? There's no exit 3 on 75 in Florida. We were 3 exits deep in Georgia. You had gotten on the phone and stopped paying attention, and you had missed the entire state of the state line.
What a great trip it turned out to be. Remember, we came back through Monticello.
Yeah, it's pretty. It was pretty.
It was beautiful.
I saw a bunch of real estate signs of property we had listed for sale up there. So,
yeah, it was beautiful. But that was a fun trip.
I've enjoyed being friends with you. You're a very close friend of mine and a good confidant, and we shared a lot of memories and a lot of fun, and it's been a good ride, and you've been very tolerant of me and my personality, and I appreciate that, as I have been of yours. But I do thank you for your service. You've been in a phenomenal public service. You said that a couple of times, is you're not doing this for, glory or anything like that. You're doing it as a public servant, and I believe that. You've exhibited that. You are a wonderful elected official that we served together. I saw how you took care of constituent issues, and I believe you bring that same passion to your job in the office of the Supervisor of Elections. I think Polk County is very lucky and very fortunate to have you and your leadership here, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate your support and friendship.
Yep, it's been a lot of fun, and with that, Eli, you got anything else for us?
I do not. This was great.
All right. It was a fun episode. We're right at an hour. We'll see how much of this nonsense Eli cuts out.
Well, I want to talk just a little bit about running for county commissioner, why I decided to run for county.
Okay.
Can I say that real quick? Okay.
Yeah.
It had been 67 years. After while I was serving city commissioner, I was out and about and realized that Fort Meade really, or the south end of the county, wasn't getting the acknowledgement that we needed, or representation. Representation. And so it had been 67 years since we'd had somebody from the city of Fort Meade
sounds about right
serve on county commissioner, which was Julian Durance's father. I'm sorry, it was it's Dale Durance's father. He was the county commissioner, and so for me to, I was just a little city commissioner for 14 years, known in the south end of the county, not known in the north. And I announced that I was going to run off the steps of our city hall. I've done that every office I've decided to run for.
Yep.
And
I've been there for a bunch of them.
Been there for a bunch of them, and had like 200 people wish me well. I ran for 17 months to get my name known, because I said earlier, you want your name to be a household name, but I had to be at every pancake breakfast, every baby kissing contest, everything there was to be out there. And I campaigned for 17 months and won on the county commission. And then we'd had only one representative from Tallahassee serve in Tallahassee from Fort Meade, and so I ran for
I
that
didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You mentioned kissing babies. I have a picture or two of you kissing a pig. So we were in the lobby of the county commission and they were raising money. And I said, I cannot believe you're going to kiss a pig for $100. And it was raising money for something for the employees. And I said, I'm getting a picture of this. You kissed it 3 or 4 times.
No,
a little too passionately, I might add.
So. I don't think so. Talking about being a public servant and being there for
I think that's
people.
all the time we have.
I think the best thing we did was the ice bucket challenge.
That was good. That was fun.
Oh my goodness! I didn't realize they were really going to do that to us, and we're out in our suits in front of the county commission building out there, and we took the challenge and raised money for ALS, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was fun. But I think you and I were the only commissioners that
we were the only ones that would have done it too.
Yes, that took it. So,
but yeah, it's been a good ride. I've enjoyed our friendship together, and I wish you many happy days, and good luck on the election.
Well,
can anyone serve on the canvassing board? Am I officially unqualified now that I'm not an elected?
We would use, yes. If you're not elected official, but we would use judges.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure I couldn't do it again. I didn't want to have to block your call for the week before.
But I also want to say, if any groups that you're associated with or anybody listens to this broadcast, this podcast, this
very fine podcast.
Very fine podcast. If you ever want to come and take a tour of our office, we welcome you. We have tour groups set up that you could come through, take a tour guide.
And do you have regular office hours where they can find you if they want you?
Yes, 8 to 5. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you make an appointment? Is that the easiest way to
make
sure?
Yes, please make an appointment so that we can have everything in place. And we will show you from the beginning of working polls to counting ballots, the security that we have, and anything you want to know. But we welcome you.
There are people that still think the elections are tainted, false, whatever. I think you bend over backwards to accommodate, to show, hey, these are all fair and every ballot is being selected. We'll let anyone observe. You have an observation window for the canvassing board. You don't let unauthorized people in there while you're doing your job, but there is a viewing window where anyone can observe what you all are doing and the canvassing board is doing. So there is great transparency. There's great honesty and a great decency from the folks down there at the supervisor's office, and I'm proud to know you, and it's been fun being your friend.
Thank you. And same.
All right, so thank you very much for tuning in to this very fine episode of Todd's podcast. We look forward to y'all joining us next time, and have a great week. See ya.
Todd.
Thank you for listening to Todd's podcast. This has been your host, Todd Dantzler. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to rate, review, follow, and subscribe to Todd's podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you have any questions for me, suggestions for future guests, or are interested in sponsorship opportunities for our podcast, please just fill out the contact form on my website, todddantzler.com. I look forward to hearing your questions and feedback, and please take care.